Hello, welcome to Oracle PLSQL course. First I'll go through all the slides so that you will have an idea of agenda for the course. So first we will discuss what is PLSQL, then what is a PLSQL program, PLSQL block structure, example PLSQL block, then stored procedures will be discussed, stored procedure syntax, example for a stored procedure, PLSQL functions, function syntax, example for a PLSQL function. So as and when I am doing the theory, I'll switch over to SQL developer, execute all the example things and show you the results. Okay, then we will come back to the theory. Restrictions for calling functions from SQL expressions. PLSQL packages. Oracle supplied packages. Cursors. Both implicit and explicit cursors will be dealt in detail. Cursor execution cycle. Example for cursor. Cursor for loop will be explained. Exception handling in PLSQL will be discussed. Both system defined exceptions and user defined exceptions will be explained. Example for user defined exceptions. Cursor design considerations will be discussed. Usage of cursor variables. Implicit cursors. Collections we will deal in detail. All types of collections like associative array, nested table, V-array will be discussed with examples, and we will be executing those examples in SQL developer. Database triggers will be discussed. Working with large objects, lobs will be discussed. Internal lob, external lob. Some of the compilation and tuning techniques to improve performance will be discussed. Caching techniques to improve performance will be discussed. So this will be agenda for the full course. So first we will see what is PLSQL. PLSQL stands for Procedural Language Structured Query Language. So it's a superset of SQL. It's an application development language. So what it does to SQL is it adds programming language features. Like SQL is nothing but statements, right? Insert, update, delete statements. Okay. So it's whereas PLSQL is an application development language. So where it groups the SQL statements in the form of a block. Okay. So it adds to SQL a block structure. And there are flow control statements like if such an condition, then execute this SQL statement, else execute some other SQL statement. Similarly, there are for and while loop structures. There are PLSQL variables, constants and PLSQL types. So structured data, we know structures like it groups different data types. So we can have a structured data in which it groups a number variable, datetime variable and so on. Okay. And then there are customized exception handling feature, and the whole PLSQL block can be stored as a schema object in the database and it can be invoked as and when required. Then triggers. Triggers are nothing but subprograms that are stored in the database. They get invoked automatically in response to certain events. For example, if you think that there is an employee table in which salary is a column, so whenever a row is inserted into this employee table and if the salary column is greater than 5000 in that row, you want to execute certain action automatically in the database, then in that case triggers is a feature that comes in handy. Okay, So now we do understand what is PLSQL. It's a superset of SQL. It's an application development language. So it adds certain programming language feature to the SQL. Okay. So that is what is PLSQL. So this is a link I used. There is a good installation guide PDF in this particular link. So this gives a step-by-step instruction for creating an Oracle account, how to download, which are all the files to download for Oracle 11G server, how to install step-by-step Oracle 11G server, SQL developer, etc. in your machine. I did the same. You can also do the same so that you can execute the examples in the course and also some of the lab exercises. Okay. So we'll see what is a PLSQL program. A PLSQL block is nothing but elementary unit of a program. So that is grouping the executable procedural statements. Okay. So it's a block that groups certain executable statement. PLSQL block. It's a unit of the program. So it has got a definite start and end state. There are begin and end keywords. Okay. So there are three types of blocks: anonymous block, named block, and nested block. Anonymous means the name implies that there is no name for that block. So it is cannot be stored as a schema object in the database, and so it can be persistent only for that single execution. So it is not saved anywhere. Okay. Named block, as the name suggests, it has got a name, so it can be stored in the database as a schema object. As a result, it can be invoked as and when required. Then the nested block. This is a block within another block and forms a nested block structure. We'll discuss the PLSQL block structure in detail. It has got 4 sections: header, declaration, execution, and exception sections. Head block, as the name suggests, it gives the block a name. It adds to the block a block owner's name, parameter specification, like what are all the input output parameters for the block, and in case of PLSQL functions, what is the return type, what is the return value, return type specifications. So the header specifies a block name, block owner's name, parameter specifications like in-out parameters, and the return value specification. So this is mandatory only for named blocks. Okay. Declaration section. So this is a place where the local variables, cursors, and local subprograms are declared. The declare keyword indicates the beginning of this declaration section. Then comes execution section. This is a mandatory section for any block. The begin and end keyword marks the beginning and end of the executable section. So the statements within this are passed by the PLSQL engine and executed on the block invocation. Then the fourth section is exception section. This is also optional section. Suppose in the executable section we suspect some exception and want to handle it gracefully, then we can have exception handlers in the exception section. So the exception keyword indicates the start of the exception section.